Excuse me. Hello. It says I'm live. Oh my gosh. I think it missed like all of the yawn. I think I got all of my yawn out before it went live because it was whatever for a hot second. Anyway, did you miss me? It's been a few days. If not, it's cool. But anyway, I was going to do a talk earlier, but I didn't make it out of the card store in time. I went to go visit. I would consider him a buddy. Um, I went to go visit a buddy. I mean, the owner of the card store, um, who came into my life at a time when I didn't think I would find much of what I was looking for at home. Who I found at that point in time. I think coming into my life is a little weird because, like, the store literally opened not too long before I was like sort of in that time of thinking about sort of like what I wanted and where I wanted to go. Anyway, he's a cool guy. He's cool guy vibes. But anyway, I was visiting with him and then I didn't get to go on the chalk before I had to go work out. So it didn't happen. But I figured I could do the thing since there are other things that I said I wanted to do that I haven't done. And I know it's like a little bright down here. Like down here, it's very bright. I mean, I could do this and then like the whole thing would be pretty bright, but maybe like overall it would balance out. Sort of. It sort of works. Works well enough. What am I talking about? I decided to do one of the things that I've been talking about doing. Hey Holly, how you doing? Because I need to do more, talk less, or talk about doing less and actually do more. So I have combined the two affirmators oracle decks that I have, which are the affirmators and the affirmators love and relationships. Eve, how are you? Are you still in Cali? Have you I've combined these two. And then I'm also using the Affirmators Tarot. So you're back home now? Okay. Because I know you said like a few days, and I was like, oh, technically it's over. Did you enjoy your little vacation? I don't know why I said little. Did you enjoy your vacation? To La Fruma Central? So this morning, oh, I'm glad to hear it. This morning, I was going through my La Fruma and I was like, what card is missing? I'm curious. So I put it all in order. I was also going to use the runes because I want to read the runes as I want to read the runes how I was like feeling, how I wanted to read them. Just like I want to read the archetypes how I want to read them, but every time I sit down to read them, like I either forget or it just like goes in a different direction. But I figured I'd start with this. Pack this shit almost 100 days. Oh, excuse me. Oh my gosh. Very efficient. they got they got the right ones on the case because I'd probably just have too much fun. And then it would be the last day. I'm like, oh crap, we didn't we didn't pack and ship anything. But I'm glad that you got it accomplished and you got to have a good time. The Wheel of Fortune and the Ace of Cups at the cut. What? And this Wheel of Fortune, like that wheel is nautical. So that's interesting. Balanced work and play. Wait, what was that? Excuse me. I am exhausted. 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 Oh, so I was going through the Lafruma to see what card was missing. Guess which card was missing from my Lafruma deck? And some ironic twist question mark. It's a card I haven't seen in a hot minute on my channel. It's a card I haven't seen in my deck in a hot minute. It's one that's been making plenty of appearances, and it's one that actually appeared in the Raw runes that was kind of focal in a way. No, that one I have. Lots of magic when you're together. Oh, that's what happens. Like when I go to see Kirsty, like the first time especially, everything was just so like effortless and seamless, and like because we were taking a boat to Q and we couldn't figure it out, and she was talking to the guy and he was like, oh, it's fine, just get on. I was like, oh snap, and then like everything just worked out. It's gathering Gatorade that it's missing. Number 74 is gone. 74 is gone. I was like, what? Yep, Gatorade. Excuse me. No, but maybe it was 47. Because I know like there was like 11s. And it may be in here somewhere. It'll pop up in its own time, I'm sure. They do that. Excuse me. Yes. Yep. That's the one that's missing. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know where it is. But it, like I said, it came out over here, and it came out on top of the second solar eclipse, I think, because I ended up getting a third rune, and it was health, and Gatorade came out to clarify it, and then there were like 4 cards that came out on top of the first rune. I was like, oh, okay, all right. The collective is on some secret mission. I'm like, oh, I guess I've retired. I'm heading into the 3D. Anyway. All right. Let's see. Let's just see what's up. But yeah, I'm glad you had a. Is it really? I don't get a. If I get a birth year, I have to like do a mirror. You know, the runes don't go that high yet, or I have to wait until the expanded edition of the runes. Yeah, I took him to the card store, and I was like, "Hey, check these out," and he was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, he was like, "It's a lot of energy in these." He was like, "I've never like seen a deck that had so much energy in it before." I was like, "Thanks, I'll let him know." Of course, I wasn't like, because I saw him go to the title card, and I was like, "Oh, I hope like," because I haven't told him that I have a channel. It's not something that I like necessarily talk about or advertise, um, just because I feel like it's weird, right? And then it's like there's this pressure for somebody to like watch me, and then it's like, you know, I don't hide it, but I don't broadcast it either. And I saw him like get to the title card and just like a little blurb at the bottom. And then he just like went to the next one. I was like, thank you. If it's for him to know, he would have read it and seen it. You know what I mean? But anyway, it was a good day. I was there for a few hours today too. I don't know. He's a friend. Excuse me. Okay. All right. We're just gonna breathe. The affirmators are nice. They can be a little sassy sometimes, but they're nice. And I'm gonna put my glasses on so I can read the entries from the book because they all have like little affirmations that I love. All right, affirmators. I know it's been a hot minute, but what have you? Oh, girl, that was quick. The Two of Pentacles came out immediately. Bottom of the deck, I see the Seven of Cups and the Four of Wands. I'm gonna pull both of them. The Seven of Cups and then the Queen of Swords is behind that little hint of yellow that we saw. Oh, snap, I might pull her too. And then the Lovers is behind that. Yep, it's meant to be. Um, the reason why I pulled her too is because now we have all four elements. Two Pentacles, Seven Cups, Four Wands, and the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords, that was Libra, and Libra got a whole hour. And something about Libra could have been like the South Node shifting into Libra. It didn't necessarily have to be for like Libra, Sun, Moon, Rising, whatever. I don't often mention placements because I just read energy, like the energy of Pisces or of whatever. So sometimes it may be like a person with a placement that it might resonate for. It may be something transiting that sign. It could be anything. And she came up somewhere else too, because somebody else had it was in the double majors. It was the Queen of Swords that's holding up the golden mirror. What I like about this Two of Pentacles is I love a Two of Pentacles that like displays some kind of ease because it's not always like juggling isn't always something or multitasking. Sometimes it's more like multitasking or there are multiple things that hold priority that are occurring at the same time. And just like Eve and Kathy were able to find balance between work and fun. I feel like this card can very much so do similar. What's interesting is though, this little thing down here. So it's almost like this isn't hard enough. This doesn't it's almost like a building a stature that's sturdy enough. It's, after enough reps of this, the body gets used to it. So now he's like increasing the difficulty level. And then with the Four of Wands and the Seven of Cups, it's an energy that's like the prize is like the grand prize is on the table. But what I love about this one, can you hear that? It's rumbling now. It was like a deep rumble. I could tell it was going to storm today. My storm senses have like heightened to the point where it's like it's something on the air. It's something how the air shifts and how the wind starts to move that I can tell when a storm is coming in. Um, it's only been happening. I guess it's been a few years now. Anyway, because of this Seven of Cups, I mean, with the water, like everything is connected more so, like anyway. But like six of these cups are all on the horn of the narwhal. And so I was gonna say with this, it's like one of the carnival question mark games, one of those magic tricks where it's like, you have three cups and you put a ball on the table and then you mix them up and it's like which one. That's why it's like the grand prize is on the table. The Four of Wands being the grand prize. And we have the turtle napping. You're not gonna win the race if you're asleep, turtle. But there's like because of that, there's so much trust and like alignment and ease in this Four of Wands. Because the turtle is already slow. It makes me think of the tortoise and the hare. And the hare was the one that took a nap so that the tortoise won the race. And that's another thing with this Seven of Cups, too. Maybe It's like all 6 of these cups are like in a row. I don't know if the narwhal has like chosen all of those or like removed all those cups off of the table so that there's only one cup left and it has to have the grand prize. But it also feels like something that's continuously unfolding. And then we have the Queen of Swords at the bottom of the deck. Or we have the Queen of Swords bringing in the air after that. Queen of Swords, Cardinal Air again is Libra. We're about to shift into Libra. Who is this? Capricorn and the Two of Pentacles. First decan of Capricorn, third decan of Aries, and the third decan of Scorpio with Libra. First decan Capricorn. Did I say third? So it's Capricorn, Capricorn with Aries, Sagittarius, and then Scorpio, Cancer, if that matters. I'm going to just get one of these now. Oh, and I also have this because I wanted to roll dice. So I might be doing a few things today. Perseverance is at the bottom of the deck. Perseverance and courage. All right. But yeah, I wanted to put, because we have all 4 elements, you know? All 4 elements are on the table. Anytime I see all 4 elements, I gotta, oh, goodness. Well, courage. Courage flipped over and then catapulted somebody face down in reverse on top of the 4 of Wands, and it's perseverance. Goodness, I guess I should have known. Like, courage flipped over and then perseverance just flew. Perseverance in reverse for this 4 of Wands. I kind of like perseverance in reverse though, for the lazy turtle, because that's like the way in the fable. That's the way that the tortoise won the race. It was its perseverance, and then the hare got lazy. But there's something about this where it's like the hare or the tortoise doesn't have to try so hard. So with the Queen of Swords and this Two of Pentacles, there's a deeper understanding of the forces at play in a situation. And it's because of this deeper understanding of the forces at play that the tortoise doesn't have to run the race, and that the narwhal can knock 6 out of 7 of the cups out of the running. There's something about this that makes the correct choice very obvious. Maybe it was due to perseverance in the past, or maybe it's just like more, I mean, more aligned is the easy word to go for, but it feels like it's more aligned because there's less other stuff. Maybe it's because there are less things that are unfaced, unhealed, unaddressed. Because sometimes when we have those things and they aren't addressed, it's easier to lean one way or the other because of something that we're trying to substitute for, that we're trying to mask, or that we're trying to compensate for. But without the need to do any of that, because this individual is so balanced within themselves that, like, whenever I see a Two of Pentacles, I'll look at like the height difference between the two, but these are like even keeled. He's lifting both of them, and is so good at this that now he can even, like, he's even started doing this. This is where it really pays off. I feel like I got too many affirmators to read. I don't need. I feel like I don't even need to read the book, but I want to read the book, so so I'm gonna read the two. I read the Two of Pentacles because it's the card that came out. So there's an empty, abandoned day planner out there somewhere, and it's got your name on it. The Deuce of Discs asks you to maintain balance while juggling many different balls, duties, or chainsaws. Do whatever you can to keep your busy brain from scattering and manage your time with some good old fashioned to do lists. In the face of this much responsibility, mundane tasks become just as important as the main events. Congrats on the Nobel Prize, but did you put the laundry in the dryer? I strive to maintain balance in my life by staying on top of my responsibilities. Complete crucial tasks. Hold on, wait, what? Complete crucial task of reading tarot cards? Check. Oh, well, come for me. Come for me! As I literally start the video talking about how I'm going to do the one thing I've been talking about doing, while there are other things that I've been talking about doing that aren't done yet. Oof. Oof. But hey, I'm checking this off my list. That's what matters, right? That's what the card said. I do kind of want to. So I'll read these two. Why not? So perseverance is a bonus card. Because it's a bonus card, I'm actually gonna get one more. Let's get one more. One bonus card for perseverance, please. I think some of these might be in reverse because when I combine the decks, one of them I didn't make sure they were both upright when I combined them. So just FYI. All right, bonus card for perseverance. No one. No one. I'll give it two more. That's one. Nope. Bottom of the deck now is boundaries. I claim my right to set healthy boundaries and I allow others to do the same. Sometimes personal space is taken and sometimes it's given. And sometimes, if you're on the subway, it's completely disregarded and shamelessly invaded. I guess it depends on the day. Perseverance. It seems you're on a massive journey right now, and this card has arrived to remind you that you will reach the other side. The mountain, wink, wink, the mountain you're climbing is huge and formidable, but so is your ability to climb it. You don't need to enjoy it, you just need to tackle it. Complain if it makes the job easier, blow off steam. You think the mountain climbers get to the top of Everest on inspirational quotes? No. No way. They're grunting and crying and cursing like freaking pirates. That just doesn't sell a lot of posters. That's why I love this. I love the humor in these. It's like, do what you need to do. And I think again with the Four of Wands in reverse and with the Four of Wands upright with the lazy tortoise and perseverance in reverse with this Two of Pentacles, it could be the case again that you've already done all that you need to do in a situation. I think sometimes we also have to let things sit. We have to let things gestate. Um, we have to not micromanage things too much. I'm trying to recall something. Give me a moment. It was Hemi. She was talking about sunflowers and how it's important for a sunflower to have a strong back because when they mature, especially the big ones, like they get really big. And if they don't have that strong back, then they'll fall over. It also makes me think of who the bird that was hatching from the egg, the butterfly that was emerging from the cocoon. The act of breaking through itself provides the strength that is needed by that organism later. It's an important step of maturity. Um, and something about this is breaking through. Courage. No one is fearless. No one. But even though I'm not fearless, I am courageous. When fear shows up, I don't run away from it. I use my courage to conquer it. My courage allows me to walk right up to that fear and kick it in the nuts, then quickly hide behind someone bigger until it goes away. No! So that's these two together. And maybe that's another thing too. So the time of perseverance is over, but the time of courage is now. The time of perseverance, it can also be like, it's like, oh, my brain literally just like, it just slipped out of my brain. But it's like, if the time wasn't yet right for whatever to come into being, but it was important that it's almost like we have the idea and we're given enough time to workshop it, to prototype it, to do what we can with the resources that we have at the time. So that when the time comes, either it's ready to bring to market, it's ready to, like, whatever is missing. When the time comes that it's provided, the dish is ready. Basically, it's like tempering, and cooking. So like you make the dish and then at the end you put on like parsley or cilantro or whatever. Right? They're the finishing touches that you put on it to garnish it as you serve it. But it's like, you cook the dish is cooked and finished before you garnish it, or else you're just cooking the garnishing into the dish. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. Excuse me. Like walking to school uphill both ways. I never even thought of that. So now I'm actually, as this is, maybe this is how I'm going to do it. Because I want to do a bunch of stuff today, but also I am kind of tired. So I probably shouldn't. But I've been wanting to, I was going to come live last night and pull dice, but I was like, oof, I don't have my little dice tray thing. And then I was like, oh, I could use the Diceology cards. But then I was like, oof, I'd have to open the drawer to get the cards. And then what I ended up doing, playing a game or something. So it didn't happen. 18, the moon. We have the moon, we have Capricorn, we have the throat chakra and the third eye, and also, oh, another rumble. Okay. We have a planet, but I gotta look at my cheat sheet to see. I can't remember if this is a planet. Okay. Just do whatever you want, apparently. I can't remember if it's a planet or a sign. Boo doo boo doo boo doo boo doo doo. Boo doo boo 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 doo boo boo boo. It's Mars. So Mars, the moon, Capricorn, the throat. No, the heart and the throat. What did I say before? Did I say the throat and the third eye? It's the heart and the throat. Why am I pulling these? Why did I roll these? I don't know. So the moon and the heart feel like they're in the same space. Mars and the throat feels like they're in the same space. And then we have Capricorn, that's sort of the medium. The moon and the heart feel like they're in the same space because it's like internal, right? We don't necessarily see other people's feelings. Those are things that have to be communicated. If you are aware, um, in touch, in tune, maybe you can tell. But it's like feelings are things are in the heart, or they have to be communicated to be seen, which is why the throat feels like it also is aligning with the action of Mars. Now, this is a major arcana moon, But I guess it's interesting that two lunar bodies came out. I don't think anything is in Capricorn. Pluto is about to retrograde back into Capricorn. But I think as of now, Capricorn is empty, sitting opposite what Mars for now and nearly Venus. Yeah, Capricorn's empty. Capricorn has a none. Um, but Capricorn, it feels like foundations. So there's something here about, and maybe this is why it's a time of courage and not perseverance. A time of perseverance is like when we hold those things safe and precious. It's the baby in the womb. The time of perseverance is the time of gestation. The time of courage is the time of birth. Is that why I was talking about whatever I was talking about? The plants. Yeah, yeah. The plants, the butterflies, and the whoever else, girl. I don't remember. The birds. The things that need to break out of the shell. It's the act of breaking out of a shell that gives the thing the strength that it needs to fly, to support its own weight, to do whatever. And it feels like there's something in the heart. Are these? Nope, neither one of these is a relationship card. And since the heart chakra came out, I have a right here relationship. It's pleasure. I've seen this one before. We've seen this one lately. I give myself permission to feel pleasure, and I let that pleasure rush into my life in a decadent display of over the top abundance. Then I realize that pleasure has been waiting at my door for a long time. It's just that pleasure doesn't knock on doors because loud noises aren't super pleasant. Was I talking about this with somebody else? Or was this just a feeling I got at some point? But it's just like um when we're used to working very hard for something, or when we're used to something taking a lot of energy and a lot of effort. I remember now. When we're used to something taking a lot of energy, time, effort, when we're used to having to fight to get something, or when we're used to having to be like persistent to receive it, when we just get it, it can be a whole different experience. And there are many different ways to take on that experience. For some people, maybe it's like, they don't trust it if they don't have to fight for it. Or if they don't have to fight for it, then they don't want it because it's the thrill of the hunt or whatever. For some people, it can be hard to believe because you've like it's never been this easy. Is it too good to be true? Blah, 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 blah. For other people, they welcome it gladly and easily. And it's like, wow. For some people, they have a understanding or a realization. It's like it puts other things into context of like, why did we put so much effort into the places that we put it in whatever way? Why did it feel like it required that much from us? I feel like whatever the answer to that is, it's wrapped up in the conclusion, or it's wrapped up in the present energy of this Two of Pentacles and its ability to balance those things now. So, like, for example, maybe in the past, like, there was a self worth issue. And because there wasn't a feeling of worth within the self, because self didn't feel worthy, it tried to compensate and mask and do all kinds of things to be worthy of this thing that it like you don't have to fight that hard for it. And so maybe it's like as that self-worth elevates, then it's like that's why things come so much easier. Or maybe that's why it feels like it, because the self isn't putting in all that work to make itself deserving. I feel like part of this is also wrapped up again in the perseverance in reverse. It reaches that point where you don't necessarily have to almost like just dream and wish about it anymore. This perseverance, it feels almost more of like things that are in the heart or things that are in the mind. And it's just like it's waiting for the time that the dream will become reality. It's waiting for Prince Charming or Princess Charisma. I don't know. Prince Charming, Princess Charisma, or the person of the pleasing person to come and do this and do that. It makes me think there was a brief moment years ago, um, where I did a read for someone. And it was this energy of like, whatever you think that you're going to get from that person or from being with that person, it feels like you may be in a season of like learning to give that to yourself or like find ways in which you can begin to like give that to yourself because it might not be. And that was like the first, it was this, the beginning of a whole series of whatever's. But again, that's the Two of Pentacles. That's this Two of Pentacles in particular. It's the one who gives to self everything that self needs. It's the one who gives to self everything that is for self to give to self. Self love is love that we give to ourselves. There is no amount of love from another or for another that can compensate for self love. It'll always come up lacking. Now, is it like, does it triage or does it bandage certain things? Yeah. But, there's that saying about putting like what, band-aids on bullet wounds or something like that. Because with the bullet, sometimes you got to pull out the shrapnel if you can, or else it's like it'll just dig deeper and deeper and deeper over time. Anyway, and that's why again, courage feels like this Mars and the throat energy because Mars is the initial. I was talking to my journey buddy the other day, and I was like, Mars is the actualizer of the zodiac. And it just like it really felt like that. Sometimes when I talk astrology, sort of in general, but especially to her, like when I get like really into it, because y'all know apparently I love a soapbox. Um, it was like Mars is the actualizer of the zodiac. Mars is the one with the willpower, with the energy, with the whatever to actually put forth the action to make something be. Mars is the action. Now, what happens when there are people who use action to do all kinds of stuff that maybe shouldn't be done? What happens when there are other people that can remedy certain things but choose not to do it? It becomes tainted just like everything, anything else has the potential to be. But Mars is the action, the throat is the communication. It's the action and the communication. It's that set the Capricorn foundation for the internal things to come to the external. It's almost like nesting in a way. There are things that we do, there are things that we say, there are truths that we communicate, and there are actions that we put forth to reinforce and back up those truths that we're communicating that set the foundation for whatever's in the heart and whatever's being hidden or being preserved in the internal space to come outside externally. And again, it's like the time for courage is now. The time of perseverance is over. Take it as it resonates. When it resonates, like, it's one of those choose your own timeline ish types of things. But again, I don't want to say that like the linchpin for this is the Two of Pentacles, but this Two of Pentacles, Queen of Swords energy is strong. And Libra did have that in their reading. It was like, it was when it went back to the first Queen of Swords, and then it was immediately the like two Kings of Swords. And it was that energy of like being able to see the reality of the situation around us, or it was Libra being able to see the reality of whatever situation or position that they're in so that they can accurately and effectively add something to a situation or remove something from a situation to progress things forward. But as long as Libra was in Libra's own head or mind about how other people think and feel because of people of the past or whatever. Like how whenever Libra had all that stuff that they were projecting onto the outside world, and then it's in Libra, it was this like a tendency. I think tendency is a strong word. It was this question of whether or not the things that other people project onto us, they're actually projecting onto us. Or if it was like you project something onto somebody else to have them project back to you. And it was this whole like thing. But if that's how you see the world, it's like you're through whatever's not resolved in whatever way. Like it's easy to think that you're doing like an apples to apples conversion, but you're looking at oranges as if they're apples because maybe in your neck of the world there weren't any apples, there were only oranges, but when the word for apple arrived it got mistranslated, and then you leave your place of residence, you discover like what apples actually are, and then you see an orange and you go, oh, like these are completely different. Every time somebody said apple, I thought they were talking about oranges. No wonder why people were always upset and saying that they got the wrong order. And you're like frustrated because like you said you wanted apples. It's like the whole what lemonade thing, how like lemonade in the UK is not lemonade in the States. I haven't personally had it happen to me, but like lemonade in other countries is like some carbonated citrusy, almost like Sprite or 7 Up type drink. And it's not a concoction of lemons, water, and sugar. But when Libra reached that point that they can see the world as it is, then it's like a whole bunch of things make a lot more sense. Oh, look, it's the star. Oh, how cute. Healing. I love that. But yeah, it's almost like that's in that Two of Pentacles. There's something about the self being able to be like balanced in a really solid and healthy way that gets it to see again. It was like when we're not masking or compensating for whatever because of something that we have something perceived within self, we don't have to do so much. We know that we don't have to do so much, and we're more open to just receiving the pleasure that's been in our lives to receive this whole time. But it doesn't knock. It doesn't draw our attention always to it. Or even if it did, we can be in a place of resistance to it. It can't be that easy. It can't be that simple. No one could ever feel this way about me. No one could ever value me in a way to compensate me for my actual time. No one else will take a chance on me, so I have to stay where I am. And then if something good comes in, if something good happens, well, it's too good to be true. If we're even in a position enough to like allow that. But anyway, it's gorgeous how it came out. And maybe I could have left it at that. But again, like that's why the tortoise was lazy. Because like the tortoise is like, I've already won the race. Like I'm racing so that the hare can feel fast, so that the hare can feel, because the hare knows it's going to place better than me and the hare needs to feel good about itself, so it's racing me, but I don't have anything to prove and I don't have anything to gain or lose from racing the hare. So, and it's almost like that was the story of Venus when I was using the Magic the Gathering cards. It was like Mars had gone through its whole process with Saturn about like learning to direct and control its own energy. And as Mars gained an appreciation for self, it wasn't as dependent on the fluffery of Venus to feel good about himself. Well, then something happened to Venus, and Mars was the one entity that never rejected Venus, always like gassed her up because Mars really had eyes for her. But Mars went out and matured. Mars started giving to himself what he needed when Venus was off doing whatever. So then Mars is like, sorry, Venus, I don't have anything for you. And that then in turn triggered Venus to go and learn to give to herself the things that she needs to give to herself. And that was like, again, when I was using the magic cards a while ago. But it's almost like that same kind of energy, almost. Almost. But yeah, I loved it. Okay. So let's go for one more. Ten of Swords and the Two of Wands. Oof. Then I really want to read the runes and the archetypes as I wanted to read them. So I'll give it another attempt after this, but I'll try really hard. Or maybe I won't try at all because that's the point. The time of perseverance is over. The time of courage is now. Also, that kind of sort of makes sense, at least in my own personal life. I can see it making a lot of sense. Just because it's like, because of the work that I've done in my personal life, there are things that used to be insurmountable challenges and blockages. The mountain made an appearance in the description of that Two of Pentacles. But it's like when I worked through them, I got over the fear. When I started to disallow fear from getting me to the point where I actually tried, I was able to find out, oh, I can do this. So now if it's asked of me, I can do it. And because now I can do it instead of running away from it, there's more of the world that's open to me. So with the Seven of Cups, as more and more opportunities begin to present themselves, I'm not picking certain opportunities just because I feel like it's safe and easy. I'm in a position where now, like, not only can I challenge myself, I kind of want to challenge myself just to see what all I can do that I would have never given myself the opportunity to even try to do. And so it completely changes the game. You know what I mean? It completely changes the way that I interact with the world, and it completely changes my decision making process. And the same is true for whoever that would have resonated for. And it's because of the balance within the self that it doesn't have to overcomplicate. So now we have the Eight of Cups. Now we have the Eight of Cups. And the Eight of Cups is an 8-armed octopus offering 4 cups to the moon and 4 cups to the sun. Or is this a full moon and a crescent moon? We'll do sun and moon. I love like the peace that is in this card. I love the tranquility of that octopus. I think in a lot of Eight of Cups cards, it's depicted as like this very like hard journey because there is an energy of like leaving a space of comfort, probably emotional more so than anything else. Because it's like if it were truly what we were wanting, desiring, asking for, manifesting, looking for, why would we be led to walk away from it towards something else? I think too, sometimes we can be so out of touch with the truth of our feelings because of all of the things that go on within the human psyche that it's not that we don't know what it is that we really want. And sometimes it's not even, sometimes it's like us being out of touch with our truth. Sometimes it's us looking at the limitations of like the physical world around us. So like sometimes there's something that we know is for us, but because we haven't seen anyone else doing it or because we don't yet know the path to get there, we try to like we do the reasonable thing, which is to look around for inspiration, for things that may get us where we're going. We do our best. You know what I mean? We do our best. But it's like it's almost like on the back end, it's almost like I don't know why the Dan Ryan is popping into my mind. Um, but metaphorically, it's like if you're going from one place to another, and there is one road, there is one route that everyone always talks about taking to get there. And so that's the route that you take, and maybe it's like it's closed down for whatever reason, and maybe it's the time before Google Maps. Maybe it was in the time of MapQuest or atlases, or maps. um well, let's say, because with an atlas and with a map, you could probably still like find your way around it. So let's say it's without MapQuest, and that MapQuest, like, you pre-printed directions to the place. You don't have a map and you don't have Google Maps. All you have is pre-printed directions, and then you get there and a certain road is closed. And it's like, how am I supposed to get where I'm going when the road is closed? And then it's like, well, we never told you that. First of all, that's not the only road that exists. Second of all, we never said to take that specific road. That's just the road. That's just the road. I almost said world. That's just the road that you always heard about. It's the one that came up first on Google. It was the one that was most apparent. But there are many ways. And when you take the detour, sometimes the detour is the road that they actually had for you to take. You know what I mean? But again, it's like, if we don't have that knowing, if we don't have that knowledge, we do our best. Ultimately, when it comes down to it, there are forces that are outside of our control, and we do our best to get where we're going. But that's also why it's like, there's no judgment in it. Sorry. Hey, David, how you doing today? Excuse me. Are you today? I'll look at the bottom card in a minute, because I don't want to pull like 5 different cards again. I'm going to read the affirmation for the 8 of Cups. I'll read the entry and the affirmation. Oh, but I was just going to say, I love how at peace this octopus is, because I think the way that it's illustrated, or the way that it comes across so many times, is that like it's difficult. And it's not that it's not difficult for this octopus. Maybe the octopus knows that, like, because Scorpio, full moon, lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, anytime it's Scorpio, anything that's about purging, which is fine, um which is fair. um but the narrative of purging has been, I mean, it's always a season of purging. If it's not, you just didn't look at the right planet in the right space, or the right aspect between planets, or anyway. um a lot of times when I hear people talk about purging, it always comes with a certain element of difficulty. And again, it's understandable. It's not always easy. There are certain things that are difficult to let go of. And if it's easy to let go of everything and anything, then I don't, it's attachment. It's that weird, because to me, it's like a difference in spiritual beliefs, maybe. I don't believe that it's for me to go through my life with no attachments to anything, with no desire for anything, and to just be a cardboard stand-in my whole life. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I personally want to have a full experience. I don't want to have an experience full of tragedy and misery and whatever, but I want a fairly full experience, like a good one. You know what I mean? But I think, like, this again, like, this is at peace, maybe because it knows the greater reason. It's just like trust. I don't know. It has trust that anything that is coming for a reason. Anything that is going for a reason. And it's so read as detached enough that either way it'll be okay. But it's not that it's detached, but that's the only word that can come to mind. It's just like accepting of outcomes. It's not detached. It's just so accepting of outcomes, and it's accepting of things that it doesn't know, and it's accepting of the things that it can see. And it's like there's a known discrepancy between what is known and seen and what is unknown and unseen. And the octopus offers 4 cups to both of them. If I don't know, then there's a greater whatever at play. Eight of Cups. This card signals the end of an era. Whatever you've accomplished or accumulated up to now is no match for the magnetic pull of a deeper, more spiritual life. You may be choosing this path because the other led to complete emotional burnout, or you may just be in an enlightenment seeking sort of mood. Whatever the case, you are ready to burn it all down and head for the Bodhi tree, or drink some kombucha and read a pamphlet on meditation. Look at the little asterisk. Or you're just ready to like drink kombucha and read a pamphlet on meditation. Anyway, focus, yeah. The affirmation here is I open to a greater consciousness than I've ever known, but I won't forget that I'm still human from the block. I won't forget that I'm still human for the. This deck would be perfect with the Happy Tarot. This deck would be perfect with the Happy Tarot. Love that. So now I'm gonna get the Affirmator Oracle. All right, all right, all right. Oop. Cute. She flipped over. Who are you? It's this card. Hold on. Are you the card? Hold up. Hold up. I'm losing me gosh darn mind. Up, 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 up. Here it is. Goodness. I was like, hold up. I knew it was like kind of yellow, and when I looked back through the deck, it was the back of one of the title cards. It's this card. How to use these cards. This is so when I was shuffling last time, I noticed this card face up. And I turned it face down because I was seeing that flash of blue as I was shuffling the deck. So when I combined the two decks together, so I knew it was already like turned up before I even started this video. But then I turned it face down because I knew it was already turned up before the start of this video. But now I just accidentally pulled it, and here it is again. How to use these cards. I'll just read it. Oh, maybe because it's like it goes with what I was just saying a little bit. A little bit. There is no wrong way to use these cards, laws notwithstanding. But here's our suggestion. Turn the cards face down on a table in front of you and shuffle them the way a 3-year-old would. As you mix the cards around, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and silently ask that the cards give you a message that will benefit you in this moment. Then reach in and pull a single card and feel confident this is the one card for you, at least until the next time you pull a card. Read your affirmator, and for greatest potency, read it out loud. Say it as much as you like, then say it again. If you draw a bonus card, relish its wisdom and use its gifts at will. You have been bestowed with great and mighty powers reserved for only 10 cards in this deck. What fortune! And I combined two of them together. So the ratio probably stays the same. Is that how ratios work? Yeah, because if you multiply it by 2, right? Because if it's like 10 out of 40 cards plus another 10 out of 40 cards, you get 20 out of 80 cards, but you reduce that back down to 10 out of 40, which is reduces to like 1 out of 4, which is 25%. Anyway, the card that I actually flipped over is Everyone's a Teacher. I don't think I've seen this card yet. I haven't seen a lot of these cards, but that's fine. I say that as if I use this deck I say that as if when I get a new deck, like if y'all see me use a new deck, I might use it a little bit off camera. But typically I open them here and I just use them. I don't flip through every card all the time, hardly ever, because I like being surprised by cards that I don't know in decks that I use. So anyway, I was just saying that to say that I'm acting like I have painstakingly looked through every single card in this deck, and I did not. So expect surprises, Patrick. Duh. Basically, everyone's a teacher. Everyone I cross paths with is a teacher in that moment. The ones who give me the fun lessons are the ones I call friends. The ones who give me the hard lessons I sometimes call a-holes. They've chosen a tough job, but someone's got to do it. So today, I'm thanking all the a-holes. Thank you, a-holes, for playing your part in making me a better person. Am I the a-hole? AITA? I'm kidding. And maybe that's, again, maybe that's part of the piece of this octopus, is that no matter friend, a-hole, whatever, everyone has something to give, everyone has something to teach, everyone has something to bestow in that moment. It's part of the piece of this Eight of Cups. And so if it comes into the sun, if it fades into the moon, if we have this eclipse where everything is who knows what, that's the piece of this card. So now I'm gonna roll the dice again. I might do. It's already been an hour. This might be it. So there's no. Oh, we got a tower. We got the solar plexus. We got Aries. We got something I need to look up. Oh, here it is. The sacral. I was like, where's the other chakra? The sacral, the solar, the tower, Aries, and mystery. And the scholar of air. Okay. The scholar of air. So I was trying to be like different or creative or unique, or I was trying to tap into the energy of numerology and the elements to see what they spoke to me. And so in the court system, I did it initiates, scholars, teachers, and sages. Initiates is like obviously the initiates. They're new, newly accepted, newly learning, whatever. The scholars are like juniors, like sophomores, juniors, maybe even seniors who do like an internship over the summer. So the scholar is the one who is learning, but who also is given the opportunity to put its learning into practice. And so it starts to see those correlations between like the information and the real world, with an understanding that its education isn't yet complete, but when it returns to its education, now it has like experiences of applying those things in real time or in the real world in a way that gets it to interact with both the information and learning differently. And then there's the teacher. The teacher is the one with a knowing that shares it. The sage is the one with the knowing that sort of isolates and furthers that knowing. So the sage may be smarter or may be more involved with its element, but it might not be able to communicate effectively in a way with people who aren't also sages. The sage may not be the best at like disseminating that information, because it's like if you're speaking over everyone's head, no one's going to get it. What's the point? The teacher is the one that's really good at like spreading that and like catching everybody up. And again, like just they have their own sort of sectors and like good in this situation, good in that situation. Sometimes it's to be a sage, sometimes it's to be a teacher. Anyway, the scholar of zones is here. Now, the element of air, I called it zones, with basically the understanding is like between fire and water, that's like the soul and the self, like who we are on a soul level versus like how we identify as an individual human being. You know what I mean? There can be a lot of overlap. There can be complete overlap there. There can be dissonance there. And then with earth and air, it's zones and realms. So the zone is basically like the blueprint, it's the building permit, it's all of the information behind the scenes, it's the science. The realms is like it manifested it in the real world, in real life. It's like it in practice. The zone is like the theory, realm is in practice. So there's the scholar of theory in this, the scholar of realms, zones. Sorry, the scholar of zones. The scholar of zones with the sacral and the solar plexus is interesting. I don't know why it feels like it's receiving from the sacral because of the soul. Huh? Okay. So, and Aries is the fire. Oh my gosh, I get it. I understand. So, somebody just came over, but it's fine. There's the crown chakra receiving. The crown chakra receiving feels like it's all of these like big ideas that might be hard to understand, like how it applies, or like big ideas that need to be decoded, like universal whatever. So it's like out here. The crown is like out here. This sacral sort of receiving is something that's bubbling up from the soul within. So it could be knowledge gained from a past life. It could be something, again, it's like it's not much different than the crown necessarily in theory, but it comes from a different place. It comes from deep within the self rather than it being something that we like sort of download from spirit, the ethers, whoever, wherever. Which is why I was like, oh, okay. Which is why I love this. And also the solar plexus is like the solar plexus, like the sun, the light. And it's like Aries, which is cardinal fire. You know what I mean? Anyway, it excites me. Um hold up. I'm missing one. I'm missing a die. It's in the bag. I was like, I don't have an element. I don't have an element. I guess I don't need elements. I mean, I didn't need one on the last one because all four elements were present. But since I remembered that I don't have an element, this one might want one. Four, which is fire, I believe. I coded it to fire. Yep, I did. Four is fire. Here we are, back of the soul. Okay, we're confirming. We're confirming. It's like being received from the solar plexus, or it's being received from the sacral, and then it's being asked to be expressed maybe through the solar plexus. This feels like, I guess air can be, and it's the, okay. So this is the scholar of zones. The scholar of zones is the one who, first of all, it's about theory more so than practice, because it's not in the suit of realms, because it's air and not earth, because it's thought and not reality. It's also the space of the Knight of Swords, if you're curious. Um, so it's this burgeoning. I love that word. It's this burgeoning understanding of, the way it comes to my mind is unwritten laws of the universe. And it's like the learning of the scholar of zones is the result of the soul and the self communicating. The fire of the soul meets the water of the self, and it produces air. Now, it's not necessarily an air, again, because it's air, it's not manifested, dense, physical. Um, oh, the tower is here. I forgot about the tower. The one reason that I like the tower here is because whatever this understanding, it's the unwritten laws of the universe. The tower is here because of that unwritten laws of the universe type of energy. And because it's like, there are so many texts, there are so many beliefs that are circulating. This came out recently. There are so many like texts and beliefs that are circulating, and it's not that they're false, but it goes back to, or it almost pulls on in a way, the capital I versus the EYE. When we understand one element as itself and as a reflection of all four elements, and when we do that for every element, we come into an understanding of energy before it typifies into an element. that energy could be ether if ether isn't like the element of life, which is sort of the result of all four elements. Or it's like all four elements go into creating life. Girl, I'm a dude, okay? All right. But it's almost that energy. But there's something from like deep within the soul that's coming to like be communicated to the self. This is interesting though, because it had to be a few months ago. Maybe it was the end of last year. Maybe it was the beginning of this year. I don't remember in particular. But there was this like the soul was speaking, but the self didn't want to listen, or the self couldn't hear it. And I remember, and it was when I was using the dice, probably the last time I used the dice. Again, I don't remember when that was, but it came up a few times. It was like the soul is speaking, the soul is trying to bring something to the forefront, but our conception of self, our idea of self, isn't allowing us to hear it. So something was coming through air rather than coming through the element of water. Because it was like, oh, if this is like the soul, like if this is the fire, we should have an understanding of it through the element of water. Because that's how like we relate, right? It's like the divine spirit, the etheric, the non and not non incorporated, the incorporeal, the non corporeal communicates through fire. We communicate through water, but that should be that bridge. But there was something that the water couldn't make sense of that fire was trying to communicate, so it came in through air. But this air, again, like this air feels like it's the result of this conversation between the water and the fire. So with the tower, it's like, don't be afraid if there's a knowing that arises within you that conflicts with like popularly held belief, or it conflicts with other universal laws or universal truths or whatever that you may be familiar with. And whatever is sparking in the sacral, there's something about the solar plexus here that I'm not completely sure if I'm not sure the role that the solar plexus plays in this. And the way of like, I don't know if it's necessarily asking us to like do, share, communicate this, or if it just like comes into being within the self. And the octopus doesn't help because this octopus is like, again, so zen, so focused, so internal. The octopus isn't like, it's the scholar. It's a scholar. It hasn't yet decided if it wants to be a teacher or a sage, or it's not for me to read generally and collectively. Whether this scholar becomes a teacher and shares it, or whether it becomes a sage and it masters it in isolation in its tower. You know what I mean? Qual, a ficus, the snake bearer. Swedish fish. Oof. I love Swedish fish. I haven't had any in a while. Bottom of the deck. I'm finally ready to check. It's the Three of Swords. I don't think I've ever seen this card. I've seen this card before, I think. I've never realized that there are three frogs on the Three of Swords, though. And then the Two of Swords is behind that. Two of Swords, Three of Swords, the Three Swords, Two Swords, Ace of Pentacles. This is the materialization. What's interesting is both frogs and alligators live in and around water. Oh no, the fish are dead. The fish are dead. Oof. There's something in the water. There's no. This is like, so the frogs have realized that there's something in the water, which is why they're on this lily pad and looking distraught. It's like they're losing their home, girl. You have frogs outside crying for rain, and it's rumbling over here. It hasn't like downpoured. It rumbled like twice. Maybe we'll send it your way. This is beyond me. Six of Pentacles. Let's get that bread. Getting that bread. That's what this is. Trust the soul. Um, and again, with this tower, it could be significant changes in your understanding. It could be things that arise within the self that lead you to question certain beliefs, or it leads you to question what you treated as truth until this point along your path, along your journey. Um, Something about this, I think it was the last one. They they bark like little frog dogs. I would call them frogs, but then you wouldn't know if I'm talking about frogs or dogs, and you can't call them dogs either because same thing, right? So maybe you just have to put the F, R, and D all together. Dogs or drogs. Drogs, there you go. But those would be like dog frogs instead of frog dogs. So yeah. But with this three of swords at the bottom, girl, there is like, I guess I was talking like, I've already mentioned past lives. It's like this could be something that you have from like a past life. I need to stop doing that. I know. But it makes it easier for me. It could be something from a past life, some knowledge or some information or some knowing, some something that's arising from a past life. But with the three of swords, low hanging fruit is let's say you were a teacher of whatever this is in a past life. Well, your teachings weren't appreciated by somebody that had the ability to get you to stop existing in that incarnation. So so there may be some remaining hesitancy about that. Again, it's low hanging fruit. It doesn't necessarily have to be the case, but with the way it came out, and there is something, again, the energy of like a loss of home, because we have a loss of home. Now I'm going to segue into the other thing that I said I wanted to do, and I'm going to do it the Patrick way. I am going to open up the Lafruma. I'm going to shuffle it, and then I'm going to look before and after Hamfereld, because it is the journey home, specifically the rune of journey home. Um, I don't know. I'm feeling it. I'll look and see what's before and after Hamfereld, and then I will try to baby rune around it. Okay, well, maybe I won't actually. Tear and Candle, 1742. That's older than America. 1742. It's older than 1776 was the year that the Declaration of Independence was signed. And I only know the reason why I remember it so specifically is because we watched the musical 1776 in maybe my American Lit class. I don't remember. I also saw that earlier today. 1776%. Anyway, um, Tear and Candle. Maybe I won't go looking for Bifrost. I don't think I will. Because, like, that's half of it right there. Who's at the bottom of the deck? Condal. So, Condal, Candle, Tear, Girl. I'm taking them. And then look, it's night. Oh my gosh. Night is the place where it's all happening. But oh, okay. Let me Google something real quick. I'm gonna look up smelting because I always get it around blacksmithing, but I don't know if it's the specific process that I should be thinking of. Like when you smelt something, does it combine alloys or does it purify? The extraction of metal from its ore. Okay, gotcha. So it's extracting the metal from ore. I think. Oh, this could be the fire in the water, right? Two keys, candle, condo. Because it's offering to both the sun and the moon. The moon would be the soul in that case, the sun would be the self. Just because typically we have a better idea of ourself than we do the complexity of our soul. Typically. Right. Typically. I'm not gonna speak for everybody. Um it feels like I don't know if it necessarily feels like Condal is already done because Smelt came out with Candle. You would think that Smelt comes out with Condal because Condal is the ulcer, but it came out with Candle. And because of the sun here, it's almost like there are echoes or it reads as echoes because of the Doppler effect. The Doppler effect is when the sirens get closer, they sound louder. And when they get farther away, they sound quieter. The Doppler effect is like the time that it takes for a sound to make it to the ear. And because it takes shorter when it's closer, it has a higher intensity, it's louder. And as it gets further away, it takes longer. So I don't know if it's the dispersion of the signal over distance that causes it to be louder or quieter. Why am I talking about Doppler? I don't need to get lost on this tangent. Oh, because of this. There are echoes. Not necessarily mirror. Like there are mirrors, but it's like a reflection of a reflection of a reflection. But not every mirror is necessarily positioned in a way to give an accurate reflection. So it's like a funhouse mirror, reflection of a funhouse mirror, reflection of a regular mirror, reflection of a regular mirror, reflection of a funhouse mirror, type of thing. Some of those reflections may distort it. Hey, Steph, how you doing? Um, but it's like it's something that we can see, something that we do see, or something that is known is an echo of something deeper. And it feels like with Tear coming out with Candle, it's smelting the things that we do see. It's extracting the truth. from things that we see, witness, experience externally. Long story short, I don't know why. I mean, maybe Condal is also, maybe not, because Condal almost feels like the truth. It almost feels like Condal, again, it's kind of weird because I would think it'd be the other way. It feels like Condal is true as is, but the ulcer is our doubt. It's our inability to face the truth, or it's our inability to reconcile different things as true, or like which one is actually the truth. Again, it seems that for some people, they're much more likely to believe things that come from outside of themselves than they are things that come from within themselves. Maybe it's a trusted hierophant, teacher, mentor, someone who's been on the journey longer, someone who's more knowledgeable, whatever. And so we may discount our own knowing for that of another's. But this truth is true as is. As we extract our light from that which we see around us, we see this as more and more and more true. And we eventually reach that point where these two sort of like come together. You had a car accident yesterday? Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad that you're in an okay enough position to be here tonight. Is everyone okay? No, I want to get some mini rooms. Ooh. Not the shadows. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad everyone's okay. Hopefully, that was a close enough call for them that they don't do that anymore. I just saw somewhere it was like a couple on their honeymoon that were hit by, um, yeah, they didn't make it past. One of them didn't make it past her wedding night, and then the other one was in critical condition. So, oh, oh, God, oh no, this is way too much. Is this 3 and 3? It's 3 and 3. Maybe I'll take it. Oh no. Well, 4. No, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'll mention them though. So, Offerlagoo, Nide, and Leaf Shade came out on top of Condor, which I kind of like in a way. Oh, I might keep them. Darn it. Hagal came out on top of Everyone's a Teacher. And then, of course, the runes that we've seen, Feor and Gatorung came out on top of Condor, with Yarna in reverse, more so on tier. Calc Anchored Mortared is the bottom of the deck. Oh my gosh. Well, again, I'm glad to hear that. It sounds like no one was injured. Hopefully, they get that fixed for you. Maybe that was your guardian angel too. She was like, "You good, girl?" There's like, "We're about to take a hit for you. You'll catch some of the fallout, but you know, the collision will happen. But know that you're covered, so no one gets hurt." Um, I think this just in general. Oh, it's the gathering fire. Okay. The gathering fire of tear and candle, which makes sense. Because again, with the smelting of the candle, it's like it's extracting our light from the light, extracting our truth from a more universal truth. It's looking at what we can observe and feeling which parts resonate as our truth and which parts may be the truth of someone that we just happen to be sharing existence with. You know what I mean? But I love that gathering fire on this with Yarna in reverse on top of the tear. It's interesting, I guess, that in the first, at least, um, edition, that's interesting. In the first edition, it's both woven yarn and unwind. Well, maybe it's like unwinding woven yarn. But what I just noticed when I turned it up right is that it's number 44. Number 44 is now Condor. ECD 4444. On the Condor side is Offerlagoo, Overmantle, Nide, Shadows, Nutrients, and Leaf Shade. Leaf Shade merge in B. But this feels like it's almost like there are shadows. No, I mean the nerves are important. You know what I mean? Mm. The shadows here again. It makes sense that it came out on the Cosmic Doubt. This is like a battle of competing lights. It felt like bumper cars. Hmm. Better bumper cars than what's a high speed collision feel like. I mean, I guess it would be best that it didn't happen at all. To be completely fair and honest. See, in Hagal, I mentioned this last time because this raw room came out. There's like this frayed rope energy in the middle of it, or a fraying rope, and then Yarna's in reverse, which is the woven yarn. Everyone's a teacher is where Hagal came out. But everyone's a teacher mentioned. Sometimes we're taught by friends, sometimes we're taught by a-holes. Sometimes we learn the truth through a resonance with the truth. Sometimes we learn the truth through a discordance with an untruth. And just because a part of something is true doesn't mean we have to accept the whole thing as truth. Because some people do it intentionally. Some people will intentionally mix truths to sell lies. Or some people will use truth to sell a lie. And some people just like fully 100% believe what they're doing and what they're saying, but it just, may not be true for you. There's a difference. So maybe Hagal is like a discernment in this. Excuse me. So if I were to read this and how I want to, Tyr is both binding and unwinding. It's removing the base metal from the ore through the process of heat. Through the process of heat, you can also separate things, especially if you know the temperature at which a certain metal melts, right? So if there's a certain metal that melts at 100 degrees and you set in another metal, let's say it's a mixture of two metals, we're getting all Sagittarius. Let's say it's a mixture of two metals. One metal melts at 100 degrees, pick a system. The other metal melts at 200 degrees, choose the same system. Please. Please. So we're doing Celsius to Celsius, Fahrenheit to Fahrenheit, centigrade to centigrade. Don't do one in Celsius and the other one in Fahrenheit, please. I mean, you can if you want. This is all about you extracting your truth from whatever. Take it as it resonates. But if one melts at 100 degrees and the other one melts at 200 degrees, you set the oven to 105, 110, 150. The liquid molten metal that comes out of it is one metal. Everything that is solid is the other metal because it's not hot enough to melt it. And so I guess that's almost literally trial by fire. But it's like that's the process in this winding and unwinding of Yarna in reverse. It's like certain things stick, certain things don't stick, or as certain things weave together with other things, we get these new understandings. Whatever these like new understandings, again, like that is the scholar of zones. Something about the meeting point of the water and fire, some of that becomes air, some of it might like sootify, some of it may become soot, and it's like earth, and we filter out all the earth and we keep only the air because we're building an air understanding. And earth can be a very confusing place when you don't know the air, right? Like how maggots just spontaneously appear. But then as we live, we learn, things progress, we find out that, oh, flies have babies and rotten whatever. And because maggots eat that, they want the babies to have food. So they lay eggs in places where it's going to whatever or whatever, right? So that's like Yarna in reverse is literally just things that come together and things that fall apart. It's this coming together, falling apart, coming together, falling apart. Again, this is the gathering fire. This one did get the solar plexus. Yeah. This, I feel like it was that part of the energy of the solar plexus that I didn't understand. Because part of the energy of the solar plexus here, it feels like receiving enough information through the sacral from the soul to turn. Oh, and then the candle is here to spark something and then to get it to grow in radiance and brilliance. Like the candle shines brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter until it holds as much luminosity as a light bulb, as a sun that's hotter and brighter than our sun. That's like the gathering light of this. I think too, there's something in the Yarna alchemy and the Tyr alchemy of the candle that's transforming something from fire into like ether. Just because fire, at least to me, it seems that like fire is the easiest element to transition into ether because fire more often than not produces light. You know what I mean? So then on the other side of the candle cosmic doubt, we have Ofrlagu, Nide, and Leaf Shade. The Ofrlagu And Condal, the Ofurlagu and Knight of Condal is when we accept things in totality. So we take it for light and for shadow. But with the leaf shade, with the shade part, especially of leaf shade, and with the way that I drew it, because there's like this one line, the black line is the shadow of the green line, which is literally, I mean, they both came out. So emphasis on the shadow. It's like those are the things that we don't necessarily know that we're picking up. So that could be very like spiritually coded in terms of like, it's I haven't heard it too much recently, but there was a point in time where it seemed like very hot. Rob did a video on Rob, formerly of Rob Odinson, did a video. I remember because I was at work on my lunch break, walking around the parking lot or just taking my lunch when I was watching it or listening to it, about how sometimes there are certain spiritual entities that we take on or that we may subscribe to in whatever way, and they come with an energy that we're not necessarily aware of. But when we allow it into our lives, good night, Steph. Glad to hear that you're doing well again, or that everything's okay. Um, and I hope everything sort of like settles down for you or falls into place for you. Um, but when we do that, sometimes we take on. See, this is almost like it's the shadow of the Hierophant as well. It can be. When we take on the teachings of the Hierophant, sometimes we also take on its limitations, right? For every list of do's and for every spiritual advance that it offers, there's this list of things that you can't do and a list of like da 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 da, right? It's like, to be like truly woke and spiritual, you have to be like whatever, and you got to have like these crystals and do these rituals, and you got to blah, blah. Like, it's like all of these unspoken rules that come along with whatever. I think that's like, this is all of that in the condo. But I don't know if it's necessarily the result of all the things that we don't vet, but that's the part, I guess it's that part of cosmic doubt. Is it true or not true? I don't know. That's not for Patrick to decide because truth is relative, apparently. Certain truths are relative, of course. Certain truths are absolute and immutable. And it's like the most absolute, the most immutable. I was watching somebody recently and they were talking about truth. And for some reason, I think they were talking about some kind of truth. And I've never had the thought necessarily before. But the thing about a truth is that it's true regardless of whether or not we believe it, regardless of whether or not we know about it or know of it, it's still true. And so there are self truths. There are things that are true of self, regardless of if we want to admit it or face it, regardless of whether or not we're aware of it, regardless of whether or not we subscribe to certain belief systems to try to invalidate those truths. If they are true, they are true and they will remain true. They will always be true. And it doesn't take our acknowledgement, it doesn't take our acceptance, it doesn't take any of that. It's just true. I probably call those more absolute. And it's like anything that sort of, oh, Flissa flow. With, ooh, no, somebody just got their spiritual period. It's the beginning, like flow, first blood, and then at the top of the deck is Bjork, which is silver and gold. The beginning of the beginning of flow, first blood. Anyway, yeah, I just thought of that for some reason. It's like if something is true, it's always true. Or maybe it was because of that one, I think it was the last one I did, where it was like with the two axes, there's like an axis of linear time or self expression or whatever. And as we sort of see things from multiple viewpoints, it's sort of like we see it as a greater and greater truth. I don't know. I don't remember. Anyway, I mean, I do remember, but, and I do know, but, again, what is personal? What is collective? What is this? What is that? Who knows? And I love the night. Again, I already mentioned it, but I love that the night is there. Because again, for some reason, night is reading as the backdrop for him for Kuzma! This is what happens when you put Kindle and Condor together. I was going to go looking for this card, but I decided not to. Now it's at the cut with night on the second shuffle. And the moon, I mean, the moon can be out during the daytime, but when the sun is out, it's, you don't really notice it. It's a spectacle to see the sun and the moon in the sky at the same time, don't get me wrong. But the moon is its brightest at night. Okay. And it's already been an hour and 45 minutes, so I guess I'll end this. I kind of wanted to do one more, but I got to pull out the runes, and that's something that I wanted to do. I got to at least attempt to read. So I wanted to read the smaller runes as facets of the larger ones. And again, that's what I tried to do. I am going to get final cards from the affirmators, though. And I'm going to separate these out before I get final cards. So bear with me. I love that the backs are different. Oh, even these are different colors. Who is knocking on the door? It's too late for people to be coming over. What is happening? So yeah, we're living in an interesting time where apparently the self truths are coming to the surface to be whatever. Because why ask your guardians, your guides, your ancestors? Do I have a deck that'll tell me why? I think this was in this deck. I'm pretty sure it was. I don't know. I'm also trying to think of like other decks I would have mixed with the Lufruma to see if maybe Gatoron got stuck in one of those. I looked in the Mystical Shaman and it wasn't in there. Boom. Got it. I guess the blue one's going in here. Singing our song all day long and war. Dumbledore. Hermione. Ron Weasley. I don't know why Harry Potter Puppet Pals popped into my mind. It was the one with the ticking, the mysterious ticking, the bomb. Oh, look at this. It didn't make a full departure, but I'll take it. Oh, now it's on the table. It's an alligator, like the one in the Two of Swords. Friendliness. Whenever I smile, I make someone's day better. What a cool way to buy happiness for free. Today, I will remember what an awesome power I hold, and I'll take joy in improving lives simply by giving away grins like crazy. No, in a pinch, money will also work. I'm sure money will soothe many things. Trust is the bottom of the deck. I trust that everything will be okay in the end, partly because I simply know it in my gut, but also because it's way more fun to live with trust and confidence than to be a defensive wiener. Trust at the bottom of the deck with friendliness at the top. I mean, I haven't shuffled these cards yet, so we still see the Two of Swords and Three of Swords at the bottom. The Ace of Pentacles is a salamander, but it's looking like it could also be maybe because of the crocodile. I think some salamanders are, some lizards are live in like wet environments. And it's because like trust is walking over the water. It's making me think of that again, like something about the water ain't right. Fish are coming up face down. And then again, the alligator for the alligator. Two of swords for this. And I guess it's also interesting. Is that a crocodile? That might actually be a crocodile. I know alligators have short, stubby noses, and crocodiles have longer, pointed noses or mouths. I guess that holds the nose and the mouth. We have five of swords, which is a combination of the two and the three. Maybe this is a point of what of decision between whether or not we can trust something. But again, it does feel like it has a little bit of past life baggage attached to it. And if that's the case, I say use your own intuition, discernment, guidance, knowledge, wisdom, whatever, because I'm not here to tell nobody about the past life. That is not within the wheelhouse of Patrick. That is not necessarily within the interests of Patrick. Um, I will say, though, whenever I've tapped into the energy of past life before, of course, it always came with a certain amount of tragedy, but it came with a certain amount of tragedy that was very useful for helping me not get stuck in a pattern that I was like, first that came. And then came the opportunity for me to just throw myself into something that I really did not need to. But then like I had that, I was like, I don't want to repeat, I don't want to do that again. That was my experience with past life. Then I went to the card store and I got a past life reading. It ended up being a past life reading, and they were like such happy lives. I was like, oh my gosh, that was so much less misery and trauma than I thought would have like come up. It was so interesting. I did that a few months ago. It had to be. It was after my Saturn return was officially over, so I'm pretty sure it was this year. Anyway, I just thought it was interesting. Who flipped over? Anybody? 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 Nope. Nobody. Okay, cool. All right. Now it's raining. What is happening? Oop. All right. Now relationship cards on your little boat on the sea. Do 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 do. All right, love and relationships affirmators. The final card, please. I'm gonna get a last roll of the dice too, just because. Did I already? No, I didn't. All right, come on, come on, come on. Okay, there we go. Rest. I saw this card as I was shuffling. Rest. I take a step away from my stress and then a deep breath and then a crankiness killing nap. When I get the rest I need, I instantly become a better version of myself, able to navigate complex relationships in a single bound. When I don't, I'm not, which means I shouldn't, but I try to. And then we can't, and it doesn't, but I did, so it wasn't. Ugh, good night. Actually, before I came live, I saw a YouTube short that was it was some girl. She was like, her name is Elise, I think, and she pops up on my YouTube short, whatever, every now and then. And she was like, I'm one glass of wine down. I can't remember if it was a glass or a bottle. And she was like, now I'm ready to give you my honest opinions or thoughts of whatever's coming to me. And one of them, she was like, people say you shouldn't go to bed angry. She was like, you should. You should go to bed angry. And then when you wake up, if you're still angry, then there's something that you need to talk about. And I was like, interesting take. Because, there are a whole bunch of people who say, like, you shouldn't go to bed angry, blah, 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 blah. I went to bed angry and I woke up and I was still bothered. And I thought that I tried to take a nap. I tried to take a nap back in London. It was that full moon in Leo, the full moon in Leo that got me. But it led to a very important conversation. Like, I was annoyed, I was upset. I was like, I know it's not that important. I'll take a nap. When I wake up, I'll be over it. I wasn't over it. So obviously it was a conversation that needed to happen. Because that conversation happened, it led to an increase in understanding with my buddy. And our relationship got more solid, stronger in that point because I was able to see, I guess, him in a way that I I never had the opportunity to before. And it was an opportunity for both of us to learn more about each other, to make our friendship stronger, rather than just like, swallowing it, stuffing it down, and then having it compound and compound and compound later in ways that we would have never even known had it not been communicated. That almost falls into the moon and the moon and the heart that came out in the first one. If it's not something that's ever communicated, how is anyone ever to know? You know what I mean? Bottom of the deck is listening. We've seen this card recently. This is the reason why I pulled out the Enchanted Map Oracle. I activate my receptive side and become an engaged, intuitive, professional grade listener. Supercharged listening gives me the ability to not only hear the words others are saying, but also to perceive the emotions hiding between their words. Armed with this knowledge, I'll be in a great position to give them exactly what they need, or if I prefer, to dominate the planet. Hopefully, obviously, we don't prefer the second of the two, but I guess, you live whatever path, journey, life you want. There are certain things in the heart, again, like, I think we get so used to telling each other and ourselves certain things that we believe if we say it to whoever, then it'll just whatever. But spirit doesn't speak words. Spirit doesn't even really speak thought. It's like a mixture between feelings and intentions, and I guess obviously thoughts at that point. So, Affirmator, Tarot, your final card, your final message. I'm not telling people to go to bed angry. I'm just saying it was interesting. It was a take that I had never heard before, and it made sense. But I don't think she was saying like intentionally go to bed angry. Maybe she was just saying like don't try to force resolution or don't try to force closure, because it's like there may be something deeper there, and if you're still upset about it when you wake up, then obviously it's important enough that a conversation and discussion should be had. And I think, again, ooh, the 10 of Cups and the 3 of Cups. I mean, love that energy. Um, yeah, I forgot what I was saying. It's fine. All right. Affirmators. Oh, goodness. Thank you for not. The Ace of Cups. What? The Ace of Cups with the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck. What? There's a card that's face down. If it's the Ace of Pentacles, I'm absolutely going to lose me gosh darn freaking mind. If it isn't, like, this is still really cool. The Ace of Cups came out. The Ace of Wands was at the bottom of the deck. Under the Ace of Wands is the Ace of Swords. Again, we're seeing all 4 elements, potentially. We've seen 3 out of the 4. This is the water and the fire. like being on the same page, having these like really deep and involved conversations and discussions. This is the resulting sort of like air that comes to be at the same time. Love that. Love that. The Nine of Swords is behind the Ace of Swords, if you're curious. I was curious. Who came out face down? Oh, who is it? It's the Eight of Cups. I picked it up in reverse. But obviously, I'm going to turn it up right. So it's not the Ace of Pentacles, but it's still pretty cool. I could pull a Patrick and look for the Ace of Pentacles, but I'm not gonna. The Ace of Cups brings the 8 to the 9, but that Ace of Swords simultaneously takes the 9 to the 10. The Lovers again behind this Nine of Swords. The Lovers loves to just be the fourth card at the bottom of the deck apparently today. But this Ace of Swords doesn't have to take the 9 to the 10 in a way of. I think that's why the Eight of Cups came out. Because there's this energy of like the things that we have to do regardless. But the way that we approach them doesn't necessarily have to be set. We don't necessarily have to approach the Ten of Swords in a mindset of like it's about to be gruesome, it's about to be grisly. It's just like, oh, now we know. Oh, now I know. Okay, cool. Now I know I can stop doing it. And then maybe that Ten of Swords, the typical scene, becomes a lot more symbolic rather than felt viscerally and emotionally and any other way that it's possible to feel a Ten of Swords. Again, sort of playing on that, like it is a time and it is a season of purging because of everything new that's ready to come in, because of the deepening of certain insights, because of the ready to go ness of whatever. But it doesn't have to be painful, and it doesn't have to be anything. It's just happening. We decide. Sometimes that decision is easily made, depending on what's happening. Ace of Cups looks like the bartender of the heavens just served you a free compassion fruit colada. Chug it down and enjoy the emotional fulfillment that follows. You might be starting a new relationship, likely though not necessarily romantic. And this potion, and this potion will help you give and receive with an open heart. Whatever the case, your cup runneth over with affection, purity, and beautiful new possibilities. Want to order another round? My heart is wide open, and love flows freely in both directions. I embody a level of sweetness that's usually only reserved for videos about interspecies friendships. Aww. Look at this tiger and this goat that are friends. It's so cute that the lion isn't eating the sheep. And it's like, yeah, girl, because even nature knows that, just because that's a lion and I'm a mouse doesn't mean that we can't be friends. Yeah, we're both raised in captivity, so I don't know if this metaphor necessarily exists in the natural world, but we wouldn't know because we're not out there living it. Just because we don't see it doesn't mean it's not happening. I was like, where's this box? Here it is. Good night. Thanks for stopping by, and I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed your vacation. I am very much so glad to hear that. And now, last but not least, the roll of the dice. All 7 of them this time. It's a metal set, so they're kind of weighty. So we've got Sagittarius. We have the element of Earth. We have the sacral. We have the double crown. We have the High Priestess and the Lovers again. Okay, work. The lovers, Sagittarius, Earth, the High Priestess. I love this. I love Sagittarius and the High Priestess together. I love that combination. I love Sagittarius readers because to me, in my mind, and I also love like I guess like Virgos too. Maybe for much of the same reason. But it's like there's like Sagittarius is Jupiterian, but it's like Jupiter with a point. It's Jupiter that can focus. It's not Pisces, so it's still very like whatever, but there's a directness or there's like an ability of Sagittarius to get right to the point that I love, especially in a space that can be so, you know what I mean? The sacral and the double crown is interesting. The double crown is us transmitting from the crown chakra rather than like receiving from it, or that's how I'm reading it right now. The double crown at one point was because I have a D6 and a D8, and the D6 can't give the seven of the crown chakra. So the double crown was almost like the crown from the other one. I also never differentiated the D6 from the D8. Like I did, but it didn't stick. So, oh well, I guess if eight is the double crown, then it did stick, and I just didn't remember. Um, because it's communicating. So since it's communicating associated with the crown chakra, then the D6 is probably the masculine one, since the default mode of the crown seems to be in receiving. So the one that has a seven would naturally be the side of whatever that's capable of receiving. So it's like a masculine crown, which is again why I apparently choose to read it as communicating with that antenna. It's like how you can use a receiver or you can use a radio to either receive a message or to send one. The element of earth is here. So ultimately, it feels like there's this message, there's this communication that's happening between the self and spirit in a way where maybe the self doesn't, it's almost like spirit might be replying by what we see, observe, and witness in our 3D external environment because the element of earth is here. And then with the lovers, too, with the lovers, it's just like an element of resonance. So, as I was saying earlier, or just in general, sometimes the actions and the words and the thoughts and the desires don't align, but there's an alignment between action, deed, and word here, or between the thought, the feelings, and what is done as it's being asked through the crown, which is, I guess, if it's being asked through the crown, then there would probably need to be that alignment internally to have a signal that's coherent enough to be broadcasted. Because if there's anything, what was that, like the Doppler effect? If there's too much distortion, then like it's signal lost. You can't even, it's like when you can't even get the words out. And then again, yeah, the high priestess is spirit sending very direct because of Sagittarius, sending very direct responses. But because it's the element of earth, again, it feels like it's responding through things that we see, witness, experience in a material way. So ultimately, long story short, this is like literally prayers being answered, wishes coming true, miracles happening because of coherence question mark within the self. So, thank you all for being here. For those of you who were in attendance live, thank you for being live. For those of you who will watch this later, thanks for watching later, I guess. I hope you all have an amazing whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I hope that you are utilizing your intuition, discernment, guidance, and wisdom in whatever ways you need to navigate your journey in whatever ways you need to. I hope that if something does come from within you, as the divine communicates directly to you, through you, that you allow that those words don't fall on deaf internal ears. Is there a less ableist way to say that? I hope that when it speaks, you listen, even if it's not what someone else is saying, even if it's not, what's been believed for a while. And if it is of truth, if it is of resonance, you will be shown. You know what I mean? But you just gotta, it's fine. You'll be shown. And as long as you're doing all of the things that are for you to do, I'm sure it'll be fine, right? So, with all that being said, I will see you in the next one. Good night, Holly. I figured I'd close it with a yawn since I typically open it with one. Yeah. I think my yawn got cut off today. So I had to close it with a yawn since it didn't open.